two crucial things that have come out. One is one poll, YouGov, suggesting the Tories being reduced to just 108 seats, a majority of 200 for the Labour Party. Although they're also predicting Reform getting 5 constituencies. Another poll by a Savanta poll suggested Tories down to just 53 seats. Rishi Sunak himself losing his constituency in Yorkshire. And they're predicting a 382-seat majority for Labour, which I have to say I think would be rather unlikely. 516 of the 650 MPs on July the 4th being Labour. But let's talk to someone who's probably rather happy about those results. A former Labour Party spokesman, James Mathewson, who joins us once again. Good morning to you, James.
Morning, Julia. How are you doing?
Very well indeed. I mean, rather better than I think a lot of the Tories waking up to, going to bed last night with those polls as well. Do you believe any of these polls are right? Are they in the sort of the same ballpark?
I think they are. I think the kind of consistency we're seeing across the board and the scale of it as well seems to imply that we're on course for a huge change. And whilst, lots of people want to get excited, and I don't want to be a pessimist at all, but, people want to kind of keep their powder dry and want to kind of make sure that we are heading in that direction because a lot can change. There is still time where public opinion can change. And the Tories know this as well. So people are doing everything in their power to try and change public opinion. That's the whole point of an election cycle.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to be doing anything, does it?
No, that's it. With Labour seems to be pretty much, I mean, give or take a few percentage points, pretty much where they've been for about the last year. We have seen Reform UK's arrival on the scene, although they were already there, but Nigel Farage coming to the fore as the leader. That does seem to have affected not just the Tory votes, but it looks like it might be having some effect on Labour as well, but not enough to dent anything. But I mean, what do you make of the Tory line now? I mean, as they are busy campaigning in their sort of oldest, safest seats, because they clearly are going for a defensive role now. They've given up on those red wall seats. No point Boris Johnson turning up to appeal to those voters. Those seats they reckon are already gone. But in terms of the Tories claiming that, we're going to have effectively a dictatorship if we have such a huge majority for the Labour Party, do you have any of those concerns?
I don't remember them talking about the fears of monopolization of the political system or, kind of dictatorships or anything when they were on course for huge majorities.
Nothing like this, though. No, I don't think they've been predicting anything like this. I mean, the 18 majority they got in 2019 was way bigger than anything they'd had for a long time, and by the way, was completely unpredicted.
Exactly, yeah, and it came out of nowhere. But at the same time,
except by my husband randomly.
Well, there we go. We need to roll him out, I think, then, because he seems to be the only person with any idea of what's going on. Because I don't think it's going to be the scale that we're seeing in the polls. Something tells me it's not going to be that level. But even if it's 3/4 of that level, it's going to be a tremendous victory, and that's the thing now. But of course, there are so many people. I spoke to people in the Labour Party yesterday. I spoke to people in Lotto in the past week who are increasingly nervous because the pressure that this puts on. And one thing I want to raise, actually, that never gets the chance to be raised in the media is the pressure, because whether you think, whatever your politics are, these parties are staffed by people and often very young people. And the emotional blackmail used by political parties a lot of the time to get their staffers to do overtime, especially in election cycles, do you want to work this weekend? Oh, do you not want to end homelessness? All of this stuff, So you can imagine the pressure on those party staffers and campaigners.
To work harder. Yeah, no wonder some in the Tories are being accused of putting money on election dates, but we'll save that for another day. But, I mean, think about this. In terms of these sort of results, what impact does it have, certainly for the Labour Party, if Keir Starmer gets in with if he gets in with a majority of like 40, 50, 100, or he gets in with a majority of 200, what difference will that have in terms of how he would govern, in terms of the power he has over his party, the authority he has, and the different, I suppose, the different factions in the Labour Party? Does this mean he could have free rein to move to the left, as many in moderate and right centres will think that he would do? Or does this mean that he can say, sod off to the left, I don't need to do that, I'm going to go, all Blairite?
I think it's fascinating because what he does with that power, because more people is more power, right? That goes without saying. However, more people is more problems as well, because everybody who becomes an MP, right, overnight, suddenly thinks, oh, okay, right, people like what I have to say. I've got a platform. All of a sudden I'm very important. I've got the opportunity to do media interviews. I can say what I want. Trying to control all of those people, the whip operation to do that is going to have to be absolutely colossal. If you've got a huge party like that, and you've got a huge parliamentary party full of people who often are first-time people in
Yeah.
Parliament, with very little experience of the media, of the pressures of being in politics, and they need to all be on message,
Yeah.
and we don't know what that message is yet, then
We
it's
don't.
going
I
to
mean,
be okay.
that is a very interesting point. But also, that is an interesting point for a lot of voters. A lot of the criticism of Keir Starmer is the flip flopping we've seen over the years, the things he stood for. Campaigning against Brexit, campaigning for Jeremy Corbyn. It's absolute nonsense for him to claim he wouldn't have served in a Corbyn cabinet, or that he didn't think he'd win. In 2017, he almost did win. Absolute nonsense. And people saying, well, how does that tally with the stuff you said when you ran for the leadership of the party, and how does that tally with the stuff you're promising now?
Yeah, and that's the thing, and it's that credibility. I think that's where there's a chink in the armor in the Keir Starmer defense, because there is an opportunity there for people to exploit that. And whilst I don't want to go out on the airwaves and tell the Tories what to do to change their fortunes, because it's in none of my interest to do so, but I do think, that is, if I was to be trying to exploit any element of that, that's what I'd be going for, because the credibility of Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves is where the strength of everything comes from. It's where all the policies are built on top on. It's where all of that. So the credibility of him saying, "Oh, hang on a minute, I would have been in, I wouldn't have been in Jeremy Corbyn's government. I didn't think we were going to win anyway." When I mean, those of us who were there in 2017, 2019 don't remember that being the conversation precisely. We
No.
were all trying to win.
Absolutely. It was fascinating to talk to James Mathewson. Really appreciate you taking the time. Former Labour spokesman. Well, he's very chipper. But